A muted life. Rachel, 47, lived in a modest condo on the outskirts of Denver, where the Rocky Mountains loomed like distant sentinels against the sky. The condo, with its beige walls and hardwood floors, was a far cry from the bustling family home she'd once known. 2 years ago, breast cancer had upended her world, draining her savings and leaving scars, both physical and emotional, that lingered like unwelcome guests. Her daughter, Mia, 21, was away at college in New York, her calls growing as sparse as the Colorado snow in spring. Once a music teacher whose piano lessons filled Denver's community centers with melody, Rachel now sat in silence, her upright piano gathering dust in the corner of her living room. Mornings began with the same ritual, a single cup of chamomile tea brewed in a kitchen that felt too big for one. The fridge, plastered with Mia's old recital programs and sticky notes from happier times, and Mom, buy more cereal. Love, M, mocked her solitude. Rachel would sip her tea, staring out at the snow-dusted aspens through her window, their bare branches mirroring her emptiness. At 47, she felt like a ghost in her own life, too young for retirement homes, too weary for the vibrant book clubs or yoga classes her neighbors frequented. Her once lively fingers, which had danced across piano keys to teach children Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, now trembled with fatigue, a lingering gift from chemo. Rachel's days were a blur of freelance transcription work, typing medical reports from home to cover the condo's rent and her mounting medical bills. The work was soul-crushing, each keystroke a reminder of how far she'd fallen from the music that once defined her. Her students had moved on during her treatment, their parents sending sympathetic cards but no new bookings. "You'll be back to teaching soon," they'd written, but 2 years later, the silence was deafening. Rachel's social circle had shrunk to a few distant acquaintances, their invitations to coffee or game nights fading as they tiptoed around her cancer story. "We don't want to bother you," they'd say, but their absence was a louder burden. One crisp November morning, Rachel sat at her kitchen counter, scrolling through Mia's Instagram. Her daughter's posts were vibrant, coffee shops in Brooklyn, study groups under city lights, and new boyfriend's arm around her shoulder. Rachel's heart ached with pride but also with loss. Mia's last call had been a rushed 3 minutes, promising a visit soon. Soon felt like a fairy tale. Rachel typed a text to "Miss you, kiddo. How's school?" but hesitated, deleting it. She didn't want to seem needy, didn't want to burden Mia's bright new world with her dim one. As the sun dipped below the mountains, casting long shadows across her condo, Rachel approached her piano. Its black and white keys gleamed under a thin layer of dust, a silent accusation. She'd taught Mia on this very piano, their laughter filling the room as they stumbled through duets. Now, it was a relic, a monument to a life she couldn't reclaim. She lifted the lid, her fingers hovering, but the weight of her grief pressed them back. "What's the point?" she thought, closing it with a soft thud. The silence screamed louder than ever, leaving her to wonder if she'd ever find her song again. Echoes of pain. Haunted by what was. Rachel's nights were a battlefield. Perimenopause and post-chemo fatigue conspired to wake her at 2 a.m., her body a furnace of hot flashes, her mind a storm of regrets. She'd lie on her couch, the condo's silence broken only by the hum of the fridge and the distant howl of wind against the Rockies. Her thoughts spiraled to the past, diagnosis day, when the doctor's words had blurred into static, Mia's tear-streaked face at the hospital, the final chemo session, when hope felt like a cruel joke. At 47, Rachel felt betrayed by her body, her life, her world. Her friends, once a lifeline, had drifted like leaves in a Denver autumn. They'd rallied during her treatment, casseroles, cards, hospital visits, but afterward, their lives resumed while hers stalled. "You're so strong," they'd say, but Rachel didn't feel strong. She felt fragile, like a cracked vase held together by sheer will. Invitations to brunches or book clubs stopped, replaced by awkward texts, just checking in. She stopped replying, tired of pretending she was okay. Her sister in California called monthly, her voice bubbly with stories of her kids' soccer games, But Rachel couldn't bridge the distance, geographic or emotional. Mia's absence was the sharpest cut. Rachel remembered teaching her to play chopsticks at 5, their giggles echoing through their old house before the condo, before cancer. Mia had been her shadow, taping crayon drawings to the piano. But college had pulled her away, and Rachel didn't know how to reach her without feeling like a burden. She'd scroll through Mia's social media, seeing her daughter's new life unfold in snapshots, concerts, city skylines, friends Rachel didn't know. Each post was a reminder Mia was thriving, while Rachel was fading. One snowy evening, Rachel wandered to the storage closet, seeking a blanket but finding a box of Mia's old sheet music. She pulled it out, dust tickling her nose, and flicked through pages worn from tiny hands. Mary Had a Little Lamb, Ode to Joy. A memory flashed, Mia, 7, plinking keys while Rachel sang off-key, both dissolving into laughter. Tears stung now, hot and unbidden. She carried the box to the piano, her heart pounding. "Why can't I play?" she whispered, fingers grazing the keys but stopping short. The silence was a wall, built from fear, loss, and the question she couldn't shake. What if I've lost my music forever? Rachel sank to the floor, the sheet music scattered like fallen leaves. She hugged her knees, sobbing into the quiet. The condo felt like a tomb, sealing her in with her pain. But in that raw moment, a faint thought stirred. Maybe silence wasn't the end, but a pause. Could she find one note to break it? The snow fell thicker that November night, blanketing Denver in a hush that mirrored Rachel's inner world. She sat by the piano, the box of Mia's sheet music open like a wound. The pages held more than notes. They held summers when Mia's small fingers stumbled through melodies, winters when Rachel composed silly jingles for school plays. Cancer had stolen that lightness, leaving her hands heavy, her heart heavier. At 47, she felt like a stranger to the woman who'd once filled rooms with song. Rachel traced a page, Lullaby in C, a simple tune she'd taught Mia at 6. The memory was vivid, Mia's pigtails bouncing as she played, Rachel harmonizing softly. Now, the piano loomed like a judge, daring her to try. Her fingers, stiff from chemo's lingering neuropathy, hovered over the keys. What if it sounds wrong? What if I've lost it? Her pulse raced, but something deeper stirred, a refusal to let silence win. She pressed a single key, middle C, its clear note slicing through the condo's quiet like a blade. It wasn't music, but it was sound, raw, real, hers. The note lingered, echoing in her chest. Rachel exhaled, tears brimming but not falling. She played another, then a third, stumbling through the lullaby's first bars. Her fingers fumbled, the rhythm off, but each note was a rebellion against despair. She pictured Mia's giggle, Ravi's proud nod from years ago when she'd played for their anniversary. The music wasn't beautiful, but it was a spark, a reminder she was still here, still capable of sound. Rachel spent the next hour at the piano, her hands awkward but persistent. She didn't play well, but she played, each note a small victory. The condo felt less oppressive, the snow outside less cold. She stopped, exhausted but lighter, and looked at the sheet music. "I'm not done yet," she whispered, a vow to herself. She grabbed her phone and recorded a shaky snippet of the lullaby, her fingers tripping over keys. Hesitant, she sent it to Mia, "Played your old lullaby. Miss you. Thoughts?" The wait for a reply stretched into the night. Rachel sat by the window, watching snow pile on the balcony, her heart caught between hope and fear. Would Mia care? Or was this another step into silence? As the clock ticked past midnight, her phone buzzed, a tiny light in the dark, promising a connection she hadn't felt in years. A daughter's song. Rachel's phone buzzed at 12:17 a.m., the screen glowing with Mia's name. Her heart leapt as she opened the message. "Mom, that lullaby, it's beautiful. I forgot how much I love your playing. I'm coming home for Thanksgiving. Can we play together?" A video call followed, Mia's face filling the screen, her dorm room cluttered with books and fairy lights. "You sound like you again," Mia said, her voice cracking. Rachel laughed, a sound she hadn't heard in months, and wiped away tears. I'm trying, kiddo. They talked for an hour, Mia's finals, her new guitar hobby, Rachel's shaky return to the piano. It wasn't a cure for loneliness, but it was a bridge, fragile but real, spanning the miles between Denver and New York. Rachel went to bed lighter, the condo's silence less suffocating. She dreamed of Mia at 6, plinking keys while snow fell, a memory that felt like a promise. The next morning, Rachel woke with purpose. She brewed coffee instead of tea, the bitter aroma a nod to her old self, the music teacher who'd fueled late-night lesson plans with espresso. She sat at the piano, the keys less daunting now. She played Lullaby in C again, smoother this time, her fingers finding a rhythm. The notes weren't perfect, but they were hers, each one a step out of the shadows. She recorded another snippet, this time adding a soft hum, and sent it to Mia, practicing for you. Can't wait for Thanksgiving. Mia's reply came fast, Mom, you're killing it. I'm learning your lullaby on guitar. Rachel's smile widened, warming the condo's cold corners. She began playing daily, starting with simple tunes, Claire de Lune, Greensleeves, her hands regaining strength. The music wasn't flawless, but it was alive, filling the condo with echoes of who she'd been and who she might become. She dusted the piano, polishing its wood until it gleamed, a small act of reclaiming her space. Rachel also reached out to an old colleague, Sarah, who ran a community music program. I'm thinking of teaching again, she said hesitantly over coffee at a Denver cafe. Sarah's eyes lit up. We need you, Rachel. Start small, maybe a kid's workshop. The idea sparked something in Rachel, but doubt lingered. Could she face a classroom again? As Thanksgiving neared, she practiced more, each note a preparation for Mia's visit and a tentative step toward a new chapter. A new melody Thanksgiving arrived, and with it, Mia, her suitcase thumping in the condo's hallway. Rachel hugged her tightly, the scent of Mia's lavender shampoo a time machine to her childhood. They spent the day cooking, turkey, mashed potatoes, Mia's attempt at pie that ended in flour-dusted laughter. After dinner, they sat at the piano, Mia strumming her guitar, Rachel playing Lullaby in C. Their duet was clumsy, notes clashing, but it was music, raw, joyful, theirs. You're back, Mom, Mia whispered, her eyes shining. Rachel's heart swelled, the condo alive with sound. Rachel's daily practice became a ritual. She played not just for Mia but for herself, rediscovering pieces she'd loved, Moonlight Sonata, her own compositions from college. The condo, once a tomb, hummed with life. She hung Mia's old drawings on the walls, adding new sketches of her own, a piano under starlight, a woman finding her song. Her hands, still stiff, grew stronger, as did her spirit. Pain lingered, cancer's scars, the ache of lost years, but each note was a step toward healing. Encouraged by Mia's visit, Rachel took Sarah's offer, signing up to teach a Saturday music workshop for kids. The first class was terrifying, 10 children, wide-eyed, waiting for her to lead. She fumbled through Twinkle, Twinkle, her voice shaky, but their giggles echoed Mia's, grounding her. By the end, a girl named Lily hugged her, saying, "You make music fun." Rachel cried that night, not from sadness but from purpose. She wasn't the teacher she'd been, but she was enough. Rachel's story spread quietly. Parents booked her for lessons. Sarah invited her to co-lead a community choir. Mia visited more, their duets a tradition. The condo's silence was gone, replaced by melodies, imperfect, beautiful, alive. At 47, Rachel learned that pain doesn't define us. One note, one brave step, can sing of hope, lighting the way for others lost in their own silence.